The first thing I want to ask you is just your impression of Casey Anthony. How do you think this whole thing went down?
Her parents just 21 and rebelling, I guess, sowing her oats, but she went a little too far, a lot too far.
Do you have any doubt that she's responsible?
No doubt.
How come?
Just thinking about it, I mean, a little girl, 100 pounds, where's she going to go with it? Somewhere close. She said on that tape, I feel her close at home. This is the backyard over the fence. I mean, that's all it is, a couple houses down, right there at the woods. They said they played there when they were little kids. Her little friend, even on TV, admitted that. And we had gotten some tips when we did that Equa search about backyard or near the schools, right? And so, I mean, that seemed like it came from reliable sources like the family or something, or friends that used to know her. But you just put it all together. I mean, where's she going to go? If she did it, if something happened in the backyard or if it happened in the car, she's going to go home. She's going to run back to mom and dad because that's what she did, it looked like, just run back to mom and dad her whole life. But I don't know, 100-pound wet kid not moving, you're not going to go too far. And if it was found exactly where they used to play when they were kids, there's your answer.
Can you talk to me about when you first, obviously you heard about the story early on, and then at some point you got involved. At what point did you get involved and what did you do?
Well, it was me and my wife babysitting my niece and nephew, and he's the same age as her. In fact, I believe they're born on the same date or a day apart, same age. And we babysit them every other day or so. And my sister came over, and she was actually more interested in it, and she kept talking, and I said, yeah, that reminds me of Dylan. And they said, we're missing a kid, and that just shot up my arm for some reason. I mean, the little kid, I babysit one every day. Every person would stop and try to do that. I've got the time. I work from home, and I'll go out in the woods. I'm a hunter or fisherman, I don't care about the snakes and alligators. And I said, let's find her. And, there was a reward to find her. I mean, that played into it too, I said, this girl's not street smart, she's party hardy type in the middle of the night, but she's not going to go play in the woods anywhere. She's going to do it close to the edge. And I had already made my mind up at that point that the child might be dead, and the mom's the main one.
Now hold on a second, I'm just going to adjust this real quick. So when was it that you started thinking about going out to search? I mean, is this a couple months after? Is this in November?
No,
exactly when?
We started early in it. This is like the first same week that the case became big. My sister and me actually pulled up.
In July?
Yeah, oh yeah. There's 2 different times I was out there with different teams. But the first one was me and my little sister. We went actually behind the neighborhood, and there's a trench pond right there. Backs right up to the house. The woods are on the right. We almost jumped the fence right there at that given point, but it said no trespassing, and she wouldn't let me. But if we'd have done that day, it might have ended quicker. Because we were there, we were going to go straight to the other side of the road. We went down to the other side of the road, on the other side, back where it dead ends at the school, and we didn't stop right next to the fence. I was thinking you wouldn't do it right next to the fence, because if you did, there's a smell, maybe farther, deeper in the woods. So we pulled down in between the school and there, and went in there, and it was dry at the first time I went in there, because everybody said it was all wet and stuff.
The first time you went in there again in July?
Yeah, in July.
With your sister, you said?
Well, we pulled in there the first time, and we didn't really get back in there on that side. I stopped, went around a little field farther at the school. The next one we went with was a group of us that met up at Tate.part, a whole bunch of, this is 2 days later maybe, that we all were online talking, and they said, let's meet up at Blanchard Park. We went out there, and one guy and me walked through that thing, and it was dry that day. I walked the barbed wire fence line down. We weren't right at the fence, or where the body was found, at the family dwellings up there, or the housing. There's another fence farther, about midway down between the 2 sets of woods right there. And that's where I went on a line, and that was dry back there. Now, not to say that it wasn't wet over on the other side back then too, but I didn't get up as close to where the body was. I was more towards the school.
So you're saying that you went there in July with your sister, and was around that general area.
Right.
And then again, when you went with a group to Blanchard Park.
Yeah, 2 days later.
2 days later.
Yeah,
okay.
once
This
she
is
got me
before
going.
EquiSearch.
This is before EquiSearch. My sister got me going is really what it was. It was like, I can do this. I mean, I can go trampling around in the woods and see it. And I grew up here, I mean, this is my neighborhood. Well, not really. I grew up in Conway, but all these little areas they kept saying where the phone was pinging down at the airport, Detweiler and all that. That's my backyard, I played, all my buddies lived in those areas.
So again, when you went with your sister in July, you're saying that you did not go near or very close to the spot.
We went in front of the school. There's a spot, and it's an open field, just a little bitty open field. We walked back in there a little bit, and we didn't go. She wouldn't go in the woods with me, so we came back out of that area. But 2 days later, we walked the woods, me and another guy. I went back with, that had me going. I'm like, man, this is a good spot to look. We walked that, and all the way back, and I didn't see a house. They always said there was a house with a garbage bag or something around there. There was nothing to that effect that I ever saw, an old abandoned house.
So you went once with your sister, and she wouldn't go deep into the woods.
No,
and a couple days later,
the
you went
field,
with
more or
another
less.
guy in that same
Yeah,
area.
and we walked in there.
But you're saying that you weren't, or you were close to where the remains were.
About 120 yards farther into the woods. If you were coming down the driveway or the road, and the houses end here, and this is where they found the body, we were towards the school more. We're at least 120 yards on the other side of those woods.
Okay.
In those woods, but out farther.
So then that's twice you were in the woods in July. Now
Yeah.
talk to me about when you hooked up with EquiSearch.
EquiSearch, we did that. That was the last day of the search. We went and tried that area. We searched the other side. We searched all over.
Let me back up real quick. The first day that you got involved with EquiSearch, did you, where did you meet, and did you sign up on a
Yeah,
volunteer
we signed up
list,
on a
or-
volunteer list down at the hotel next to the airport was the first round. And then they came back later and we set up camp down towards the old post office, or the post office down there. There's
So how
two
many
different camps.
How many days total did you search on behalf, in conjunction with EquiSearch?
I'd say maybe in a full week out there. I mean, I'd join up part-time in the afternoon, I'd run down who's where, and go with a couple of different groups.
Now, did they chart, document where everyone was looking and everything?
For the most part, I guess they did, because they'd have groups of us go out at certain times to certain areas.
Okay.
Like Group A, B, you guys are going over here and you're going to search, and these guys will go over here. I mean, they had the horses go one way, they had the four-wheelers go another way, they had different groups of different people going different places.
And then the last day you were with them, you said you went to that
The last day
area
we
again.
went back there.
Again, when was this?
This was
November, October, 08?
It would have been the last day EquiSearch was searching. I forget if it was October, November.
Okay.
But it was in that time frame, I'm pretty sure.
Were you with a group who was assigned specifically to
Yeah,
go to that area?
Yes, we